Isn't that a lovely story? The parable of the lost sheep. What a lovely story. The kind and gentle shepherd is watching his sheep. He knows them all individually and notices at once when one goes missing. Without hesitation, he sets off in search of the lost sheep, and when he finds it, lays it across his shoulders and brings it home. What a lovely story. Can't you picture the scene? Rolling green hills with dots of fluffy white scattered across them, and the shepherd in his rustic garb. I know those of you who've been to Palestine will tell me it doesn't look like that, but bear with me. And of course, the shepherd isn't just kind and gentle, he also protects the sheep from wolves and thieves. So he isn't always gentle. He can handle himself. There are lots of shepherd images in the Bible, both Old and New Testaments. In this story, Jesus borrows from Ezekiel. The Lord says, "I myself will search for my sheep and look after them, and I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered." Then there's David, the shepherd boy who slew Goliath and finally became king. And the image also appears in our hymns. "The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. I cannot tell why he whom angels worship should seek the wanderer and bring them back. I once was lost, but now am found." The other nice thing about this story is it isn't too hard to interpret. The shepherd is Jesus, the sheep are us, his church, and Jesus often invoked this image of the shepherd, not only as someone who tends the sheep, finding them pasture and water, but also their protector, fighting off those wolves and thieves. And then at the end of the day, he brings them back to the fold, presumably tucking them in and telling them a bedtime story for good measure. What a lovely story. Can you sense a but coming? You see, the thing that's always bothered me about the image of Christians as sheep is, well, sheep aren't known for their intelligence, are they? Following like sheep is hardly a compliment, America. And it's a truism that the herding instinct as sheep is so strong that if one goes over a cliff, they all will. Most of you will know, and those who don't won't be surprised to learn, that one of my favourite films is The Life of Brian. And one of my favourite lines is, "Don't let anyone tell you what to do. You've got to work it out for yourselves." That doesn't sound very sheep-like to me. In fact, what if our lost sheep was actually a free thinker, a St. Bride sheep? What if she got tired of the shepherd always deciding where she should go and what she should eat, and she wanted to go it alone? And how did the other sheep feel? "Oh, it's all very well for him going off after Sharon, but what about the rest of us? Who's going to protect us now?" And in first century Palestine, shepherds weren't regarded as being much better than the sheep. They were dirty and smelly, spending much of the year out in the fields with the sheep. I don't expect Mary would have been that happy to have a visit from them immediately after giving birth. And wolves and thieves were a real threat that would have had to be fought off, so I doubt they were really that gentle either. The other thing to remember about shepherds is those shepherds, they usually weren't looking after their own sheep. They were hired to look after other people's, so losing one would have meant difficulties with their employer. Not such a cosy interpretation after all. So when I was preparing this talk, I got to this point and saw I'd done an excellent job of taking the story apart, could see it lying dismembered in my mind in separate parts, and realised I had a problem. How to put it back together and come to a sensible conclusion. Well, I don't promise I've managed that. My added difficulty was I'd chosen this parable because I thought it was an easy one. It's all about reconciliation after all, isn't it? The shepherd sets off in search of the lost sheep without hesitation. He doesn't ask, "Is Sharon repentant?" first. There's no need for forgiveness before reconciliation. He just sets off to find her. But I did have to admit I'd got myself in a real corner. I did think about letting you lot get me out of it, but decided that was too much of a cop-out, and I really needed to do it myself. So here goes. You see, I realised that the image of Jesus as the shepherd and the church as his flock is a very narrow one. It suggests some people are in and some are out. It divides the world into us and them. Is this the Jesus you recognise? Because it really doesn't work for me. The Jesus I know only sees us. Reconciling the individual with the whole group is about healing the divisions that we create for ourselves. Integrating our cosy mini flocks with their gates and walls of belonging into a single super flock, seeing everyone as us and no one as them. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't mean we have to leave our brains at the door. So, some points for you to consider. All or none, go off on your own, be a St. Bride sheep. Imagine yourself into the story. Which character are you? So that can be the people listening or the story itself. When do you feel like Sharon, the lost sheep? And what might be the first step to help humanity become a single flock? We need that this week more than ever.